Hi ladies, this video is for the Christian nationalist women and the women who want to make America great again, and generally the women who fall into those categories are they are for legal immigration and against illegal immigration. So when we're talking about the Bible, the Messiah says that he comes only for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And he says this in Matthew 15:24. The house of Israel was the northern 10 tribes who were taken over by Assyria and then scattered to the four corners of the earth. And they remain there today. So Yeshua, the Messiah, has come, he was sent by his Father only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So the descendants of those people who want to return to the kingdom of God. These are the women who want to be part of New Jerusalem. Now, Paul tells us that in order to enter into New Jerusalem, to go to the kingdom of God, you have to be grafted in to Israel. You cannot stay a Gentile. Okay, so the northern 10 tribes were scattered to the four corners, and they were eaten up by the Gentiles. This is what the prophecies say. They became Gentiles themselves, forgot who they were. So now when we come to the end of days, in order to return to God and to become part of Israel, you have to be grafted back in, right? Because the bloodlines have been lost at this point. Thousands of years of mixing into the Gentiles, the natural branches are scattered, they're gone, they're lost. But we can become spiritual Israel through this grafting in process. And Paul explains the grafting in process in Ephesians 2, verses 10 through 12, where he says, before you were Gentiles, but now you are keeping the covenants of promise. So those outside the covenants of promise are aliens from the commonwealth of Israel, without God, without the Messiah, and without hope in the world. So if you're outside these covenants of promise, then you're outside of Israel. And the New Jerusalem, the gates on New Jerusalem, are only the 12 tribes of Israel. So if you want to make it into New Jerusalem, you have to be grafted into Israel. You have to become part of Israel, spiritual Israel, through keeping these covenants of promise. Gentiles will not be in the kingdom. So if we equate this to immigration, right? We want to be part of the kingdom of God. We want to immigrate into this kingdom. We want to be welcomed, but we have to do it legally. Legally, you do this through keeping the covenants of promise. In John chapter 10, Yeshua says, verily, verily, I say unto you, he that enters not by the door of the sheepfold, but climbs up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. No thief or robber is going to be welcomed into New Jerusalem. They're not going to be part of the kingdom. You cannot illegally force your way into New Jerusalem. You have to legally immigrate. And how do you do that? by keeping the covenants of promise. What are those covenants? You have the covenant made at Horeb, which is the 10 Commandments. So you keep that covenant. You keep the 10 Commandments. The second is the rainbow covenant given to Noah and his sons when they got off the ark, which was to eat clean. Isaiah 65 and 66 tell us that anybody eating swine's flesh and other abominable things will be consumed with fire. So he's not going to come back and flood the world with water, but he is going to rain fire down like he did in Sodom and Gomorrah. So if you're eating unclean, you're not keeping that covenant. You're not part of that covenant. And therefore, the punishment is going to be that you're consumed with fire. Isaiah 66:17 specifically tells you that you will be consumed. Revelation 22:14 and 15 says, "Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city." The commandments are the 10 Commandments. So blessed are they who do the 10 Commandments. For without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie. So if you're stealing and you're a robber, you're a liar. You're coveting what is not yours. You're not keeping the 10 Commandments if you fall under those categories. If you're doing those things. So when you're thinking about how can I make it into New Jerusalem, what do I have to do to immigrate into God's kingdom? You have to immigrate legally. You can't immigrate illegally, sneak through the fence, and think that nobody's going to notice. So, if you want to make it to New Jerusalem, you have to get your passport. Your passport has the covenants of promise written in them. And you'll have a stamp, one for the Rainbow Covenant and one for the 10 Commandments. So, get your papers ready.